Hello, you're watching Entertainment Week. Coming up on the show, ahead of the biggest event in the British movie calendar, we speak to the head of BAFTA. And we'll be giving our predictions on who will be taking home the top gongs at this weekend's awards. Queen of the Valleys, Ruth Jones, joins us to talk about her fourth series of Stella. And Aardman Animation's co-founders Nick Park and Peter Lord on their silent movie star, Shaun The Sheep. First, let's catch up on the week's entertainment news. There is flash photography coming up. The nominees for this year's Oscars gathered at the Academy's annual luncheon in LA, including British hopefuls Eddie Redmayne and Rosamund Pike.
Everything is, at the moment, is just not what I expect, so, hello.
Former rap mogul Suge Knight was taken to hospital after suffering chest pain shortly after he pleaded not guilty to murder. The Death Row Records boss is in police custody, accused of intentionally running over and killing a man and injuring another. Madonna announced she'll perform at this year's Brits 20 years after her last appearance at the awards. She'll be promoting her latest album, Rebel Heart, which has suffered numerous leaks online. It was announced that Harper Lee will publish her second book this summer, 55 years after the release of To Kill a Mockingbird. The 88-year-old denied she's been pressured into releasing the novel entitled Go Set a Watchman.
Mr. Grey will see you now.
And fans of the racier aspects of the 50 Shades of Grey novels won't be disappointed by the big screen adaptation. Censors approved the film without any cuts, awarding it an 18 certificate. Over the last few years, the BAFTAs have gained prominence in the awards season calendar, drawing some of Hollywood's biggest stars to the red carpet in London. But it's the British talent that's dominating the acting categories this year, with acclaimed performances from Eddie Redmayne, Benedict Cumberbatch and Rosamund Pike. And across the board, it's the eccentric comedies Birdman and the Grand Budapest Hotel that have bowled over BAFTA voters.
Many of the hotel's most valued and distinguished guests came for him.
I love you.
I love you.
He's a Hollywood clown in a lycra birdsuit.
Yes, he is. But he's going out on that stage and risking everything.
It's about being respected and validated. Remember, that's what you told me.
I got a chance to do something right.
Do you know why?
Why?
Tide.
The washing powder.
The fluorescence in the washing powder is caught by the UV light.
Why do you know that?
Mr. Turing, do you know how many have died because of Enigma?
No, I don't.
3. While we've been having this conversation.
When you're in a battle against an enemy so much bigger, so much stronger than you, to find out you had a friend you never knew existed, well, that's the best feeling in the world.
And the head of BAFTA, Amanda Berry, joins me now. Amanda, lovely to see you. And you've brought us a BAFTA.
I have. A very special BAFTA. I can't tell you who's going to get this on Sunday, but somebody will.
Now, some years, there's no surprises in BAFTA nominations. This year, there seems to be a lot of discussion. Starting off with the Grand Budapest Hotel leading the way with 11. What's your take on this year's nominations?
Well, the Grand Budapest Hotel is fascinating because that's a film that came out much earlier last year. And in recent years, the tradition has been that films that were going to be recognised for awards needed to come out later in the year. So that's actually thrown the rule book completely out of the window. And I don't think anybody expected it. I don't think we saw it coming. And on the day we announced the nominations, everybody said to me, what's the biggest surprise for you? And it was Grand Budapest Hotel. Not because it isn't a great film, which it is, but the fact that people had remembered it and the momentum had stayed throughout many months.
People are also talking about the snubs. Mr. Turner has only got 4 and Selma has got none. I mean, how do you... What's your take on that? It's interesting, isn't it?
I'm heartbroken about Selma because the reason it hasn't got any nominations is that people didn't see it. Right. So the film wasn't delivered in the States until the end of November. Then a print has to be shipped over to the UK. Screenings have to be put on. DVD screeners have to be made. So before the BAFTA voting started, there were only 3 screenings of the film, which meant that only a matter of hundreds of people were reached. There were 6,500 voting members.
So just because of logistics?
That's absolutely what it's all to do with. And, you know, just for the film company, they moved as fast as they possibly could to make everything happen.
The one thing that was abundantly clear in this year's nominations is the young British talent. Benedict Cumberbatch, Eddie Redmayne, to name but 2. I mean, it's a good crop this year, isn't it?
It's a fantastic crop, both for, you know, acting categories, but also the films themselves. You know, we've got 2 British films in Best Film. We've got 3 British actors in the leading Outstanding Actor category. That hasn't happened since 2007, so it's a great year to celebrate the British industry.
You took over as head of BAFTA in 2000, and what's the most significant change or changes that you've made over that time? Is it the date change to precede the Oscars? Because the BAFTAs are now so significant in the awards calendar, something that before you took over wasn't really the case.
Well, it's proof that dreams can come true, so that's really exciting. When I joined BAFTA in the late 90s as their Director of Development. It was a time where BAFTA wanted to make change. It wanted to do more. It wanted its awards ceremonies to have a higher profile. And they had only just separated the Film and Television Awards. It had taken many years of conversations because people felt the Film Awards wouldn't survive without the Television Awards. Luckily, we've proved them wrong. But the challenge we had was that a lot of the films we wanted to honour within the Film Awards opened much later in the UK than they did in the US. So we literally had 2 years of conversations with the film industry saying, how can we do this? How can we make sure the films we recognise we're doing at the same time as the Globes and the Oscars? And then we moved the awards forward in 2001.
You recently made the top 10 of most powerful women in the arts. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you think there are good opportunities out there for women? Do you think it's a diverse industry? Have things got better over the years? Hopefully so.
Yeah, I've never felt that my gender has held me back in any way at all. And when I look around me, you know, you see Amanda Neville at the BFI. There are so many leading women in arts organisations. And I think there are opportunities for people. And one of the things we do at BAFTA is ensure that we, you know, support and recognise new talent. You know, it's not based on gender. It doesn't matter where, you know, what your background is. We want to give people a chance to come through, and you know, I really feel the opportunities are there, and we will do at BAFTA whatever we can to help people get them.
Amanda, thank you so much for coming in and for bringing BAFTA. If you want to leave it here, don't worry, we will look after it. Thank you so much.
That's kind of you.
And good luck with the awards. As the co-writer and co-star of Gavin and Stacey, Ruth Jones established herself as one of the leading voices in British comedy. Since then, she's created yet another hit series, Sky One's Stella, about the everyday trials and tribulations of a working mum in the Welsh Valleys. In the new series, she may have found love and happiness, but that doesn't mean life's got any simpler.
Nearly there. Keeping. 3, 2, 1. Surprise!
Oh my God.
And Stella star and creator Ruth Jones joins me now. Ruth, the 4th series.
The 4th, I know.
Can you believe that it's been going so long? Was that your intention at the start?
No, not at all. We didn't think that we would do a 2nd series, so it's been incredible, actually. And it's lovely seeing clips like that and thinking how far Stella has come in her own personal life and her personal journey, and where she started off in series 1, where there was no man in her life, and then she met Shaun, and then Rob came back in, and then she ends up getting together with the next door neighbour. So she's had quite a journey.
You co-created it, and you write bits of it. I mean, how does that work, starring in it as well? Does it mean you kind of go, right, well, she has to do this, and I want her to do this, and I want her to say this?
Well, David, Pete, and myself, you know, Tidy Productions is our company, and we make Stella, and we storyline each series, so we know what's going to happen ahead of time, and then after we've worked out what happens in each episode, we then sort of give it to the writers to put their own spin on it. So yeah, in terms of acting in it, because I'm also kind of like exec producing, I've kind of always got a lot of plates spinning and just sort of keeping an eye on where things are going. But it's great because I think what it gives you as an actor is that you know the part really, really well. You know what's going to happen to her. You know her backstory really, really well. Yeah. So it's a gem, and I love playing Stella as an actress. I love playing it.
And what's really refreshing about this is it's quite gentle humour in some ways as well, isn't it? There's quite a lot of outrageous comedy on the telly at the moment and in the past. And is that what people say to you that they like, that they can kind of, you know, watch with their families? And
it is family. I mean, it is post-Watershed, but essentially it is family viewing. I think people can feel safe when they watch it because the people in it I mean, it's a sort of a personal thing of mine, I guess. I think there's so much horrible stuff going on in the news that I quite unashamedly go, well, this show is, you know, a show where there isn't going to be anything nasty happening, and people get up in the morning and they want to get on with each other, and that's essentially what it is. And I think we as human beings are naturally very funny, and hopefully we've captured that in Stella.
There aren't that many female comics on TV, not even on the panel shows are there often.
I don't know.
Do you think that's
I mean, I always hear that
problem?
said. I don't think it's true. I think it's quite frankly nonsense. Of course, there's loads of funny women on telly. I agree with you that panel shows tend to be male-dominated. But I've been on a couple. I'm not a good person to have on a panel show because I'm not a stand-up and I don't have that quick wit. And I think also it's a male thing. I'm being incredibly stereotypical now, but I think maybe what happens is that the men on panel shows are a bit more kind of, they just dive in, they go for it, they just want to be heard, whereas the women are a little bit more of a team player, I think, if I'm honest. I think that's maybe what happens. And so you have to really fight to be heard on a panel show. Maybe that's why, I don't know, but certainly you don't get many women on you don't get as many women on panel shows as you do men. But in terms of funny women, loads out there.
Funny men, James Corden was one of the leading men in your life. He's now off in America.
I know.
Do you have much contact with him?
Yes, yeah. I haven't spoken to him since he's gone out there.
Gone global.
I know. Well, since he's gone out this time, but I mean the show will be starting in March, I guess, won't it? So I think he'll be brilliant. I think he'll be absolutely brilliant. I think he's an incredibly talented person, James. He's got a lot of different talents. He can do so many different things. He's a brilliant dancer, for example, you know. And so I think it'll be lovely and it'll be refreshing, and I think American audiences will really take to him.
And any more Gavin and Stacey?
No.
Please say yes.
No, there
Never.
isn't. I am amazed that people still ask, but it's a compliment that they do.
Yeah.
It's a huge compliment. I think also because it's being shown on a lot of channels like Dave, I think it's in people's minds
yeah, it's
still.
repeated a lot, isn't it? Because people love it so much.
Exactly, and so it's lovely that people love it so much. But no, we're not bringing it back.
Oh, wow. We look forward to Stella. Thank you so much, Ruth.
Thank you.
Coming up, Aardman founders Nick Park and Peter Lord tell me about the sheep thrills of bringing another creation to the big screen. And we'll be giving you our tips and predictions for the BAFTAs. The brains behind Wallace and Gromit at Aardman Animations are no strangers to success, with numerous Oscars and BAFTAs to their name. But when Shaun the Sheep made his debut 20 years ago, few could have predicted the sheer scale of his appeal. Following his own TV spin-off, he's now starring in his very first feature film, and all without uttering a word. And executive producers of the film, Nick Park and Peter Lord, as well as Shaun the Sheep, join us now. Lovely to see you both.
Yeah, great to see you.
What's extraordinary, Nick, is that Shaun was only a minor character in Wallace and Gromit to start with, and he's now your most successful export.
Yes, I know. I mean, he appeared in Wallace and Gromit's film A Close Shave. There's this little kind of hero that helps out, saves the day. And we did so many kind of sheep antics, you know, jail breaks and motorcycle formations. I thought we'd done everything there was to do with sheep back then, and then our colleague Richard Starzak kind of drove it into a series and ran the whole, now 5 series now of Shaun the Sheep, and now a feature film.
And to many, many countries around the world.
Like, everywhere in the world, 180 countries or something, some ridiculous number of territories. You know, I've seen pictures of it being played in a yurt in Mongolia, that kind of thing, just everywhere.
And why did you decide to have no language in this film, no words? Does that make it more problematic?
I think at first, Richard, who did the series, he made the decision that it would be a lot faster if there was, because lip sync, you know, the actual manipulation of the mouths to the words of the actors would take an awful long time. It's a lot slower, so to not have any words to say makes the animation a lot quicker.
But it did provide problems for the writers, particularly. You know, there was a couple of moments when they would have given millions just for like one line of dialogue to explain something. Just a couple of moments in the whole thing. But it was. But you know, I find viewing it, you forget that you're not watching dialogue. You just because everything's completely understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And this is the first film that you have made without the backing of a Hollywood studio. How has that changed the whole process? Has it made it more difficult or easier?
Well, I would say easier. I'd say, yeah. This is done with Studio Canal. And, you know, of course, it's lovely for us. It's very pleasing to work with a European company because we feel like we're European filmmakers. So that's great. But I wouldn't say a word against the big American studios because, honestly, we did have a good time with them. But there's a pressure from them. There's a pressure to make a film that will play in America. And that's absolutely in the front of their minds. Of course, that's what they think about. And so, you know, they always see what we're doing through that lens. And now we don't have to look through that lens.
It's extraordinary, though, the amount of time and money that the American studios now spend in Britain, isn't it? The expertise we've got over here in terms of technical animation. It's really, in the last few years, it's been an extraordinary change, hasn't it?
It has. We train a lot of people. There's the Star Wars and, you know, the Harry Potters have all been made here. And I think the tax breaks have helped that, I believe, an awful lot. So a lot of personnel are being moved here as well, plus that's great training for people in this country as well. And we've always been, you know, animation has always been our thing in this country, you know, since Aardman started in the 80s. And it was always advertising, with all the animation talent was in advertising back then. And now it's, you know, expanding into things like this in feature films.
And you have been nominated for, I believe, 10 Oscars. You've won 4. What's this time of year like as an Oscar nominee?
For us, we work in Bristol, so we're not even in the mainstream of the British film industry. And then you go out there and you're in the middle of this absolute whirlwind of showbiz as large as possible, and it's just terribly exciting. I love it, love it, love it. Especially the first time we went, when Nick was there with Creature Comforts, when Creature Comforts won, little short film, and we came from we crept out of a garage, you know, in Bristol, and we got all bought stuff from Oxfam and stuff like that, and went there, and suddenly it's like everyone turns this massive spotlight on you, and it's incredibly exciting and fun, and it's a good show. I recommend it highly.
It's like Pete says, it's just so far from, you know, you spend 3 years or two or 3 years in a darkened studio with a sweaty group of people, lovely people, very talented. But you spend so long in the dark with these little models, and then to go out and be right in the heart of Hollywood. I mean, I remember the first times too. It was just so strange, that leap, you know, to suddenly being amongst all these famous faces.
Finally, I have to ask you, Ed Miliband is often compared to Wallace. Some people are saying that there is a character in Shaun that also looks like him.
Yes.
I think we've got a picture. Yes. Was that intentional?
It really wasn't. It really wasn't. No, not at all.
Are you trying to bring down the leader of the opposition?
Absolutely not. No, I'm behind him all the way. Honestly, when that guy who's he's the maitre d' of a posh restaurant, the lookalike, and he's French, and it never occurred to us for a minute actually that no. But I have to say, fair play. When you see the stills, it does look like it.
Has Ed Miliband ever said anything to you about Wallace?
I've never actually spoken to him.
No, I should keep quiet.
I'd stay away if I were you.
I know,
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, pleasure.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Now, one of the most talked about films this award season is Selma, but more so for its lack of nominations. And the Martin Luther King biopic is finally released this weekend.
Those that have gone before us say, no more, no more. That means protest, that means march, that means disturb the peace, that means jail, that means risk, and that is hard. We will not wait any longer.
And entertainment journalist Steve Hargrave joins me now. Steve, there's been an awful lot of talk about this film. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. Absolutely
He's brilliant, David Oyelowo.
That's the weird thing, even watching that clip now of David Oyelowo, the lead actor, a British actor, not incredibly well known up until this point.
He was in Spooks, wasn't he?
He was in Spooks, yeah. It's such a change. It's such a transformation. I know you've spoken to him in real life, and he's very English sounding, very sort of theatrical sounding, and that transformation he took on, both in the sound, the body language, and the way he portrayed Martin Luther King, is incredible. Massive pressure, of course, but credit due to Ava DuVernay, the director who put this onto the screen. She's directed, I think, 2 films before, comes from a publicity background, but boy, has she done wonders with really getting to the heart of Martin Luther King and showing us a side of him that I guess people haven't seen, and that was their goal. That's what they've always said. It's peeling back the history books, really, and trying to see the man within, and we see a lot of him at home in these home scenes. So, fantastic performances, great film. Shame it was snubbed, but I think they're OK with the Best Picture nomination.
It wasn't snubbed.
It wasn't snubbed.
Anyway, BAFTAs.
Ask David Oyelowo that.
BAFTAs, your picks. Starting off with Best Actress. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, this is as solid a absolute as we can have, I think, at the BAFTAs this weekend, is that Julianne Moore is going to win Best Actress. There, I've said it. That better happen now. And I was like, I can't go back on it.
She is extraordinary. She plays an Alzheimer's sufferer in Still Alice, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Amazing performance.
Incredible film. A difficult film to watch, but I mean, at the heart of it, Julianne Moore, who's done some incredible work. I mean, I love Shortcuts, Magnolia, 2 films that she appears in, where she's amazing. And she is an actress who always goes well out of her comfort zone. And in this one, it's quite a small character-based film. And there she is right at the centre of it, going through this incredible battle with Alzheimer's disease. And boy, does she just knock it out the park on this.
Absolutely amazing. Best actor, I think we'll probably both be agreed on this. I think it's going to be Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything.
Yeah, there's the horse race. You've got the 2 horses well at the front, which is Eddie Redmayne and Michael Keaton, for all the awards. And again, we've seen them pretty much battling. One wins one award, one wins the other.
But well, Eddie's come out on top, really.
Eddie won the Golden Globe, which I think is the biggest one so far. Although the last few weeks, Birdman has swung back, and Michael Keaton's won some more of the sort of the acting awards from his peers. So it is a little bit up for grabs, but Eddie Redmayne's transformation into Stephen Hawking is another one which is just truly incredible and remarkable to watch. I couldn't take my eyes off him watching this film. And for someone of his age, he's early 30s, isn't he, to have just made that transformation and I think nailed it so successfully in such a fantastic film. And a British performance as well, of course, let's not forget. I think it's his to the taking at the BAFTAs.
But Michael Keaton in Birdman, it's such a... It's a comic performance, but it's very, very strong, isn't it?
Let it be known, I love Birdman. I absolutely...
See, I didn't.
See, you didn't. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it's beautifully directed. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I could watch that again and again and again.
So what do you think is going to win? Boyhood?
The best film, I have to veer towards Boyhood, and I think really from a filmic point of view, what Richard Linklater did over those 12 years, it's been much talked about, of course, returning to the same actors, the same project once every year, was an incredible filmic feat, and I think he's going to be rewarded both at the BAFTAs and the Oscars for that. It might be Birdman, but as I say, Birdman is almost so clever.
You're sitting on the fence. You're sitting on the fence.
I'm sitting on the fence, but I'm going Boyhood. I'm going Boyhood. I'm off the fence. Boyhood.
Lovely. We will see what happens
We'll play this
on
back
Sunday.
and punish me for being wrong.
Exactly, Steve. Thank you so much. And remember, we'll be bringing you all the action live from the BAFTA red carpet on Sunday on Sky News. That's all for now. On next week's show, celebrating 25 years in the business, Charlene Spiteri and Texas will be playing here in the studio. And we'll hear from Oscar favourite and 5-time nominee Julianne Moore. See you then.